I'm trying to share my video.
Yeah, it takes a second.
I don't know if it's gonna let me.
All right, then we'll just get
You're a
started.
mess.
Yeah, I know. I'm a mess. I don't know what's going on with this thing.
All right, so Miss Arnsmeyer, as you know, we're going to be sharing this on the Robinson YouTube page to be shown to the public and everything. So we're going to be doing like a little intro, and then I'll get started with the first couple questions. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right, so hello, we're here with Coach Arnsmeyer for the girls field hockey team. They're having their fall season right now, and we're going to be asking her a couple questions about how she's doing with COVID and what are her expectations for the season, basically just how she's gotten into coaching for field hockey. So, Ms. Arnsmeyer, our first question is for you is, so how and why did you get into coaching field hockey? Did you like play it in school and you just came out of college and you wanted to start coaching field hockey, or was it something different than that?
So actually, when I was in high school, I got really sick with mono, and I couldn't attend the college camps that I had set up to go. So I ended up working the Chantilly High School field hockey camp for the summer. And that's how I was introduced into coaching. And then following that, when I was a senior, I started coaching for my club team, and it just continued to grow from there.
And did you play field hockey before that, or did you just go to that camp as just like a way to get like a summer job?
So I started field hockey as a ninth grader at Chantilly High School. I went to that field hockey camp, kind of like Ram Camp, what they offer during the summer. And that's how I was introduced to field hockey. I was originally a soccer player, and the sport really can be very similar. So it was really easy to pick up. And then because I got sick when I was a junior, that's how I got introduced into coaching.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Okay, so what does field hockey represent at Robinson? Like what, in your words, like what would you think field hockey represents? I think it represents the Robinson core values at the school. I also think that we do a really great job of representing teamwork and showing cohesiveness, hard work, especially during this time with COVID. It takes everyone to be buying into needing to put in the hard work during practice, and then really staying at home or being aware of your surroundings to avoid any of the issues that we now see with exposures and stuff like that.
Yeah, like you said with COVID, how it's changed practice and stuff. How have you adapted practice plans and training and routines during COVID?
So usually I like to have the JV and the varsity team pretty much together so they can learn similar strategies, so we can help develop the younger girls. It also allows us to do scrimmages between the two squads. But because of COVID, that we're really staying separated. So we're potting, and that's what it's called. So we're keeping our varsity team separated from the JV team. And then within our teams, we're making sure that those girls are staying pretty regular with the same group of people in case anything were to happen. During the off season, it looked very different because we weren't allowed to do regular drills and things incorporating offense and defense. We weren't allowed to do anything incorporating a goal until season. So that was slightly different, but we could make the accommodations necessary. It was a lot of offensive work during the off season. Now it's just getting the girls used to, and I think they are now, wearing the mask. And for a team that has to wear a mouth guard and then the mask on top, it's a lot to get used to. Other than that, I think it's pretty much the same thing.
And you mentioned before the separation of JV and varsity. Obviously, you guys have tryouts to make JV and varsity, and so you have to make picks of who's going to go JV and who's going to go varsity. What are some like qualities and traits that you look for in the girls that are trying out or the girls that are trying to make JV or varsity? And what stands out to you when you see them practicing?
So the first thing is that we look for efforts. If you're putting in the effort that we feel is necessary, then that is pretty much number one. Something that I think scares a lot of girls away from trying out for field hockey is they hear about, oh, you have to run a timed 3 mile, and that's a lot, and I know that, but if you're not willing to run the 3 mile as best as you can, I think that takes you away from trying out for field hockey automatically. The girls that come out and they try their best, they realize, oh, this is just a test for my inner mental strength. It's not really to see if you can make a specific time. It's really to challenge yourself. Besides the like timed runs and the skilled drills that we really evaluate the student athletes with, we really look for the ability to grow and coachability, being able to apply anything or any technique that we see relatively quickly into your skill. So I think effort, coachability, and being able to just adapt with the team and grow with the team is very important.
So
Yep, got it.
speaking of your JV and varsity teams, how do you plan on building a winning culture for your Rams?
So I think that within the past, I would say 3 years, we've been really working towards having the same values and expectations. Every athlete is going to be held to the same expectations. When it's time for practice, you need to put your best effort onto the practice field. When it's time for a game, you put your best effort into the game. So we've been building and we've been getting better and better each year. This is a year that I think the girls that I've had, some of the seniors and the juniors I've had for mostly 3 to 4 years already. So we've been working together. Our chemistry is really good, and they've put a lot of effort and work into the off season. So I feel coming into this very unique season is we're in our best place we've really ever been in the field hockey program.
That's awesome. So on top of that, with like the culture, how important is culture to your team? Like the winning culture in general, like with the team, like how important is that to your team's like future success?
I think culture is very important. I care that my student athletes are good humans before they're good field hockey players, because in all reality, it's roughly less than 5% of Robinson field hockey players that go on and play college field hockey. So getting them to be a great field hockey player is not my number one goal. It's how can you contribute to your community and be a great human in your community? And that's number one. And so once we really work on that and be a great teammate and we can contribute to our community, then I see that our team has become closer than ever, and they even want to cheer on the new girls if they see anything that the newer girls are struggling on. They're really willing to teach them and reach out, and that's something that I really enjoy seeing.
Yeah, and that's, it's really important to see just the culture. And I know that I've seen it with the field hockey team. I mean, I've kind of come to some games, and it's really awesome to see how well they work together on and off the field too. So how do you expect them to compete this year with all their good chemistry and their good teamwork and everything like that?
So like I said, I think we're in the best place we've really ever been coming into the season. We've prepared them for a very, very quick season. So starting Tuesday is our first game. on the 2nd, and we realistically play 2 games a week, and we have all 10 games within the month of March for our regular season. So it's really condensed. It's very fast paced. So getting them ready for that is important. Our first week, luckily, are 2 non-conference games. So we'll be able to really see playing against Oakton and Chantilly, which are great competitors. We'll be able to see what we need to change to get ready for our first district game, which is the 11th of March, which is also our senior night too. But I think getting through the regular season and really getting into the absolutely condensed postseason as well will be something that I know it's going to challenge any student athlete having 2 games a week, playing an hour game at a high intensity. So it's been really important to not only teach the skill and strategy, but also remind our athletes that taking care of our bodies is very important. Nutrition is very important, hydration, and also sleep, which I know a lot of high school kids don't get. So just trying to get them prepared for that, because it is for every season in sports right now. It's a very condensed season that I don't know if a lot of student athletes are really prepared for.
Mm-hmm. And you just mentioned you're probably going to have to make some changes by the time you guys get to districts and your senior nights. What do you expect those changes to be?
Well, as of right now, for example, we have a girl or 2 that may not be able to play because of COVID exposure. So anytime heading into this season, I've prepared the girls to really, you need to not only know the formations that we're playing, but you need to be prepared to possibly play a different position than maybe you're used to, because we might be missing singular girls or maybe 2 girls on our regular starting team, or the team that really gets a lot of minutes in, and making sure that all our student athletes know not only the formation and the strategy, but also things like corner plays or set plays that are very necessary for field hockey. So getting ready and adapting per those games is going to be important.
And do you think
So
you'll be
I
able
know.
to achieve?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go first. Do you think you'll be able to? How do you think you'll be? Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Hang on a second. So you talked about girls having to adapt and girls having to change the way they play and everything to switch different positions. How do you think that's going to affect a lot of them with their mental toughness?
As of right now, I've been extremely impressed with all of my girls' mental toughness. I think having field hockey, regularly we start in August and it's hot. It's hot and we play in the morning, and now we're in February and our first practice, we had snow on the turf. We had ice on the turf. So getting them used to not only change of elements, but even in their skill, they've had to really change how they play, because like a regular field hockey drive where you hit the ball the hardest you can is going to hurt if it's cold. So they've been having to change and adapt to new skills, change the way that they hit or pass. And I think they're really extremely mentally tough. They're so resilient, and they're really prepared for this season.
Okay, so speaking of earlier, how you were saying that being a good person is important and you want to prepare them for beyond just the sport and high school, how does your sport help prepare athletes for things outside of the sport or athletics in general?
So I've touched on it a little bit, but being a good person, making sure that we're contributing to our community. Things that I say on a regular basis, if there's trash around, we pick up trash. We want to leave the area better looking than when we arrived, if we can. Other things are, I really like if my girls can volunteer, and I know in a COVID era, we can't really have volunteers and stuff like that because we've been really shut down, but are in situations where we do any middle school field hockey or any clinics or camps, I like my girls to at least put 3 to 4 hours into volunteering so that people who are interested in coming into our program can see the faces of the current players and see how they interact and see how they work really hard. I also think that reminding them that it's really important to not only pay attention to your physical, mental, emotional health, but really take care of all of that as well. As athletes, I think we really focus on our physical health and then we forget everything else. But it's important to remind yourself, or maybe even your teammate, like, hey, I know you had a bad day. Let's leave it here today and start off new the next day. That's fine. Or if something's going on, we really put a lot of focus into that mental or emotional health where maybe we need a little bit more of sleeping, or we need to really focus on recovering and doing lighter activity than a more high intensity activity. So I've been trying to get them to think about and not only learn about their body and their mind, but really pay attention to that and teach them how they can really take care of themselves when that time does come.
So you talked about how you've prepared your athletes for success on and off the field, and I just wanted to know some of your senior leaders and how they contribute to the team, and I just want to know a little bit about who's going to be competing as a senior leader this year.
So we have 11 seniors on the team this year. I have 3 senior captains, Claire Letskis, Julia Patronik, and Taylor Babcock. Claire Letskis is our goalie, and she is our only goalie at the varsity level. And she's put a lot of hard work and effort into not only her play, but really elevating the play of the girls around her. Knowing that she's going to probably have different girls playing in front of her as her defenders, she's really worked with them when it comes time to working on specific plays. And she's really essentially an assistant coach. She's a younger coach on the field, and she's really prepared the team around her to play at a high level. The other girls that have been standing out are the 2 other senior captains, Taylor and Julia. Like I said, during the timed runs, even though that we are separated from JV and varsity, Julia was running along the turf as with one of the JV players cheering her on for her last lap. I think another girl that's been coming that comes to mind is Maggie Valentine. Whenever she gets a new skill or gets something, or I say something to her that she needs to apply, she really puts in a lot of work, and you can see that if she's subbed out for a second or if she's in the back of the line during a drill, she's really working on that skill mentally so she can feel what it feels like and apply it when she goes back into the drill or in the game. I've just been really impressed because I know that it's been a unique year. The seniors coming in were basically away from schools for about a year, just like all of you. So, and I know that they've put a lot of effort into making sure that they do have a senior year, unlike the unfortunate seniors of last year. So I think really having that mentality going into our season, it really helped our entire team.
You've talked a lot about how excited you are for the season, how proud you are of these girls, and impressed with how well they've worked, how well they've played, and how their leadership skills are coming out. Are there any rivalry games that you're really excited for these girls to play in?
Our regular conference games, but Fairfax is usually a game that's high intensity, Fairfax has been a team that we've gone to district finals against, and unfortunately we haven't been able to beat yet. We have been kicked out in regional tournament by Fairfax, and it's because field hockey in our conference is very strong, so it generally ends up being our conference kicking out another person from our conference in the region tournament. So I think Fairfax would be the team that I think my girls have their eyes on right now.
So I know that like COVID has changed everything, and the like this year is a lot different, but obviously you still have goals. Obviously there's still things you want to accomplish. So what are some expectations and goals for the 2021 season?
My expectations would be to really continue to work cohesively as a team, to really be aware of the unique situations of COVID. We had a talk of, I understand that you have your regular life, but in order for us to really have a season or a successful season, you really need to buy into school comes first and your activities come second, and when it's time for field hockey, we're focused on field hockey, and then when field hockey's over, hopefully they're being very safe and going home, because any sort of issue could either put a pause on an individual or the whole team. What was the second part you asked?
Your goals and expectations for this season.
My goals would be, I personally think this is one of the stronger teams I've ever coached. My goals would be to win and bring back titles in field hockey. We haven't been able to yet, and I think this group of girls has the ability, absolutely, to not only get a conference title, but continue to build from there.
That's awesome. Well, we just wanted to thank you for doing this and sitting down with us. We know it took time out of your day and your picture day or whatever. So thank you so much for doing this with us. And good luck on your season.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.